Today, we will conclude the Tripura Rahasya. I'll take up the chapter, the final part of the Tripura Rahasya, which is Sidda Gita. So today we'll contemplate what Sidda Gita is. It's barely 15 verses, and it concludes the Tripura Rahasya. With that, we'll also understand what is the Phalashruti of being part of the Gnana Yagna of Tripura Rahasya. So Tripura Rahasya, we know it started when this child, before it dies, it calls out for its mother. I. Okay. It's calling out for its physical mother, but then the divine mother responds because it chanted the Bija mantra for Saraswati, which is Aim. It chanted 3 times. It said I. In the next life, it is born as Haritayana, where Haritayana gets the Atmagnana from Parashurama. Parashurama has got the Atmagnana from Bhagavan Dattatreya, who is the avatar of Gnana. Okay, so the Gnana has been passed on from Bhagavan Dattatreya to Parashurama to Haritayana, and then Haritayana writes the Tripura Rahasya by the influence of Sri Narada Maharshi. That's how the Tripura Rahasya started. And the Tripura Rahasya is the glory of Tripura Devi, the Tripura Sundari or Adipara Shakti, who is the Supreme Self. Now, the Supreme Self is referred to as the Divine Mother. Now, is mother important in life?
Yes.
Good mother is important. Having a good mother is very important in life. Why? Is a good mother important in life? What happens if you don't have a good mother?
It can scar you in a way.
It can scar you. Okay? And that scar, entire life you can't heal.
Yeah.
Nothing in your entire life you get can heal the scar. Why is that so?
Because mother is the first teacher. It shapes your entire childhood.
Shapes your entire childhood. Okay. What is the approach of a good mother?
Love and care.
Love. Yeah.
Love, right? So first primary thing about the mother is unconditional love for her child. So we've heard of cases where the child gets stuck under the car and the mother is able to lift the car. Okay, so that love brings tremendous energy, crosses the physical realm. Okay, and there's a deep intuitive knowing of that love. The child, they don't have to communicate. The mother doesn't have to communicate. It is just in the upbringing, the child knows whether it's loved or not. Okay, every child knows whether the child is loved or not by various gestures, responses. Okay. Now, the primary thing is love. Without that, whatever the mother might do, it doesn't make a difference to the child. What the child primarily seeks is the love of the mother. What else is the approach of the mother? That love, okay, brings a vision to the mother, a vision for the child. What? My child should eat properly. My child should not suffer. My child should study, become intelligent. Okay. So in her love, she's able to visualize the entire path of the child. The child should grow up like this. He or she should enjoy, then get married, then have children, then I will take care of those children also. Okay, then until your deathbed, the mother wants to nourish you. It's a thought of constant nourishment. Then great mothers, they make sure they consciously put in whatever is required to have that kind of a life, which is the right belief systems. Okay, very empowering beliefs about bringing confidence in the child. Very subtle things which cannot be picked up later by the child. It's very hard. Okay, at the right moment, the mother, through various stories, tells a story of Kamadenu, or tells a story of Krishna, or in India we have tradition of various Puranas and stories. These stories build character. They build strength, inner strength. So Vivekananda credited all his achievement, of course, to the lotus feet of his master Ramakrishna, but primarily his mother, who used to tell him all the stories of the great saints. That's what made him desire for enlightenment. Okay, that's what made him seek a guru. So his mother was the one that pushed him first. Then we have heard the story of the queen Madalasa. Okay, she was an enlightened queen, and she sings the lullaby to her children when the children are crying. And the lullaby is Shuddhosi Buddhosi Niranjanosi, that you are the pure self. And what happens to a child who learns this lullaby? All her children were enlightened princes. Okay, so to be this mother consciousness. What is the mother consciousness? The mother consciousness is love, unconditional love, nourishment, and there is a growth, there is a journey, and there's a hand holding throughout the journey. Okay, leading from point A to point B through various stages of support, nourishment, through whatever ways possible. That is the mother consciousness. Now, that this mother consciousness is just a spark of the divine mother's consciousness. The divine mother's love trickles down into the biological mother. It's just a small stream of that ocean. The ocean of love, which is the divine mother, from her Adi Parashakti. Now, what is that consciousness? That divine mother is for all the beings in existence. She has to do this, shower love, take, handhold every creature. Okay, there are so many millions of creatures, life forms, all life forms, then human being, various stages. Each and every one in creation has to be led from darkness to light. That takes immense love and patience. Okay, and infinite patience. She is an embodiment of divine love, infinite patience, to handhold each creature from darkness to light. And in that journey, the children go through various stages. Okay, for whatever stage they are in, whatever is required for them, the mother takes care of that. Once she does that as the biological mother, then she appears as various teachers, various experiences, then ultimately as guru. Okay, even in guru, so in one of the stories in the Puranas, somebody asked the question, to get a guru is very, very difficult. Okay, it's almost, to get a good guru is almost Sadguru, an enlightened master who is able to bring, awaken the wisdom in you and help you realize is very difficult. Okay, and the Sadgurus are of many types. So, what is the most, the highest form or the most difficult kind of guru to get? And the sage answers, the most difficult guru to get is the guru is like a mother. Typically, the moment somebody takes a position of a teacher or a guru, it's a characteristic of a father, strict. To get a Sadguru like a mother is extremely hard. Okay, to be so patient with the ignorance of the disciple, to handhold them from being rooted in the body, being rooted in the mind, being rooted in identity, being so involved in the world. Okay, and to constantly repeat the same message that you are not the body, mind, intellect, and bring the awareness. And again, the disciple comes back and asks, "Oh, but I still have thoughts. Oh, but how do I realize the self?" Okay. So in the case of Tripura Rahasya, only we saw Parshuram again and again is asking the same question. But then how? All this is fine, but then how? Okay. It is so easy because it's so easy and it's so hard. Okay, it is right there, but you can't catch it. Okay, you understand it, but you don't get it. So it's the spiritual life is full of paradoxes. Okay, you are the self, but you are not you don't have the bliss. Okay, I am the self, but then why all this? So there are a lot of conflicts. To take you, to handhold you through all of that, to bring clarity and to wait until that clarity crystallizes. Okay, and you become a light onto yourself. That is the responsibility of the guru. It's a responsibility taken. Okay, so like how the Divine Mother, I told that the love trickles down as a biological mother. The Divine Mother takes a responsibility, and it's an individual responsibility that she takes to close your accounts practically. Okay, it's a responsibility she takes, and the patience, with the love, with the compassion that the guru handholds the disciple, no matter how long it takes. Okay, is the grace of the Divine Mother. It is the quality of the Divine Mother. So to get a guru like a mother is very difficult. And the Divine Mother, the glories of the Divine Mother are explained in the Tripura Rahasya. So the Divine Mother, who is the Divine Mother? And you don't need to search for the Divine Mother anywhere. Wherever you see, wherever you look, you only find the Divine Mother teaching you and pushing you to the next level. So the mother consciousness is she's not happy with the child being in the same place. Little more. If you eat this much, then she puts little more. Eat little more. Okay, eat little more. Nothing will happen. Eat little more. Okay. So if you are 100 kgs, she'll be like, no, you're so thin. You eat little more. So her job is to push you little more, little more, little more. In the same way, existence, and that is what your desire is. So people misunderstand and think, they portray desire in a bad way. Okay, they say, if you get this much, if you get something, you desire for the next thing. That is not your fault. That is Divine Mother, Maya. As Maya, she creates the desire. Constantly she is creating desire. Okay, somebody gets 1 million, she will not, there's no rest. There's a desire that sprouts in him for 100 million. Okay, somebody gets something, the desire for more. That is a play of the Maya, so that she keeps the game rolling. Okay, and she keeps pushing more and more and more. Then ultimately, she also inspires the desire to become free from desires, and she fulfills that also through the teaching of Atmana. So, in the story of Shankaracharya, in the life of Shankaracharya, sorry, when he's traveling, he covered the country multiple times on foot. In one of the journeys, he comes across a place where the place is protected by a Devi, ferocious Devi. She appears and she says, "You are not supposed to enter this place. Okay, whoever enters, I'm going to consume them." And Shankaracharya, he bows down and he tells, "I'm not afraid of you, mother." He sees the mother in her. It's a very ferocious form, very, very scary, very ferocious. But he smiles and he uh, relates to her as the mother. Then she's impressed with his wisdom and she reveals her real nature. In the same way, the world that we experience is that first form. Okay, sometimes it's always scary because it's duality, but the wisdom will help you realize the self in the world, that same Maya, which is full of suffering and ferocious and scary, with aging and death and disease and war and everything, ignorance. That same Devi, that same Maya Devi, now appears as Tripura Sundari. Okay, that same Devi takes the form when with Gnana. When you have Gnana, that same world, which was appearing so strict to you, now appears as the Divine Mother. Then everything that you go through in life seems like the mother nudging you. Okay, the mother is constantly nudging you for the for some learning, next step. Okay, you will see the hand of the Divine Mother everywhere. So, in the Tripura Rahasya, we learned about the Divine Mother through various stories. Okay, we learned about her as the self in the waking, dreaming, and deep sleep state, as the cause of the universe, as the one who sustains the universe and absorbs the universe, and as the one who gives as the bestower of wisdom. Now, in the concluding part, the story is about Janaka Maharaja again. So earlier we saw Janaka Maharaja giving the teaching to Ashtavakra. At that time, there was a brief mention about how Janaka Maharaja got Gnana, how Janaka Maharaja got enlightened. Now there's an elaboration on how he got Atmagnana. So Janaka Maharaja is in the garden, in his palace, in his kingdom. He's in the garden. He's relaxing. Okay, he's had enjoyment now. He's tired after the enjoyments, and he's relaxing. In his relaxation, he hears some beings having a conversation, discussion. They are invisible beings. Okay, they are there, but they're invisible, and they are talking. They're having a discussion, and over here.
Lost your voice.
Are you able to hear now?
Yeah.
So did you hear how he got enlightened?
No. There was a pause in between.
So he's Janaka Maharaja is resting, relaxing. In the relaxation, he overhears the conversation of Siddhas, invisible beings, and overhearing this conversation, he gets enlightened. Such a fortune, such a rare fortune. Somebody is relaxing. First of all, he's a king. Okay, then he's relaxing in his palace. It's like the Siddhas came to his palace and offered him enlightenment on a silver platter. It's practically like that. So by overhearing, he becomes enlightened. Yesterday I was watching one movie called The Big Short. Okay, anybody heard of it? The Big Short. It's a true story. It's a true story based on a few investors in USA when there was a real estate market crashed many years ago. Some people, very few people, okay, very few people, they bet against the market because they foresaw. There was one guy who foresaw. The name is Michael Burry. He was a doctor turned financial advisor. He's very good at mathematics, and he foresaw that the housing market is going to crash. Okay. Then that insight, he went to some bank and to bet against the bank, and the bank. He made a contract with the bank so that he makes the money when the market falls. Okay, that's called shorting. Now, this event, this conversation was overheard by somebody. The banker was bragging about it in the nightclub. And somebody overheard this conversation and he did the same thing and he invested. And all these people who overheard, accidentally, few people find this information. And all of them became billionaires when the whole country economy collapsed. So this is the case of Janaka Maharaja. He's relaxing, he's overhearing the conversation of Siddhas and he gets enlightened. So if enlightenment has to come to you, it will come some way or the other. Okay, so now what does he overhear is what the Sidda Gita is. So Sidda Gita is from the Yoga Vasishta. There's another text called Yoga Vasishta. So Tripura Rahasya makes a reference to Yoga Vasishta and tells the story of how Janaka Maharaja got enlightened. Any doubts so far? What have you overheard that has changed your life? Okay. So Janaka Maharaja, one other important thing in the event is Janaka Maharaja is in a state of relaxation. Okay, he's in a deep, tranquil state mentally and physically. He's in a beautiful garden. And that relaxation, that deep relaxation he is in it, becomes so important in him receiving the gnana, appreciating it, listening very carefully, because there are no distractions. He's not agitated. It is very important to be relaxed to receive gnana. Okay? Are you relaxed? Now, how do you know if you're relaxed or not? Simple exercise. Close your eyes and become aware of your face. Now, consciously relax your face. Relax it. There'll be some tight between the eyebrows. Relax your eyebrows. Relax your eyes. Relax your cheeks. Relax your jaw. Relax your whole face. Okay. Now tighten your whole face, like clench your jaw and tighten your whole face. and relax. Slowly let go and relax. Open your eyes. So is the face relaxed?
Yes, Guruji.
When I asked you to first close your eyes, was your face relaxed?
No.
No, Guruji.
So unknowingly, the body is always in fight and flight. The cells, they only know two movements, fight and flight. They're constantly on guard. Okay? When lightning will strike. Okay? When something will happen. When my spouse will come in screaming. When my child will come and disturb. It's always you're prepared. Okay? And that, as you go through life, becomes stiffness in the body. Okay, the neck becomes stiff, the face, it becomes very frozen at various parts. Just by becoming aware, you will find where are all these parts. Okay, when you relax it, when you tighten it and relax it, you'll find releases. It releases in various places. You will find releases. It like a tap, it releases. If there is some stress, it releases. Like stretching, no? When you stretch, when you do some stretching exercises, there's some clicks you hear. Some parts which were tightened, they loosen up. Now this happens throughout the body. The body, there'll be so many such knots that just by a simple practice of awareness and relaxation helps the body to relax. Now, relaxation is extremely important to receive Atmangnana. For any learning for that matter. For any learning, not only Atmangnana, when the mind is stressed, agitated, constantly thinking, imagining, countering, chattering, it's hard to learn. That's why all the major learning happens when you're relaxed. When is that? In your childhood. Okay? In the childhood, the brain is in a relaxation mode. It's in the waves in the brain are in theta mode. Okay? And the theta mode is the relaxation mode where the child is able to learn. Child can easily learn many languages. Okay? It learns many things that are almost impossible to learn as an adult or very difficult to learn as an adult. Okay? Because it's in a relaxation mode. Then as you grow up, the mind becomes agitated. So relax. The whole point of sadhana is to help you relax. Not for Atmangnana. Sadhana helps you relax so that you will receive the gnana from the teacher. Atmangnana is a result of teaching. The phalashruti of the sadhana is relaxation of the mind. And that relaxation of the mind is called purification of the mind. So we keep hearing, purify the mind, purify the mind, purify the mind. What does that ultimately mean is you are relaxed. You are relaxed now, so that now, okay, you can receive the gnana. You yourself are not a inhibition or blocker to the gnana. Okay, so we have our weekly team meetings, right? Or stand-ups and office calls. And people telling, this person is a blocker, this person is a blocker. I am not able to complete this task because this thing is a blocker. We have not got approvals from the PMs or the architects, right? So that you don't be a blocker to gnana, you need to just relax. And whatever helps you relax. And relaxation can happen in three ways. There's a tamasic relaxation. Okay, what is tamasic relaxation? Alcohol, some substance, that also brings relaxation. Okay, but that's tamasic. It destroys the body-mind system. In the process of relaxation, you're trading. You're trading something expensive for something very invaluable. You're giving something of great value for just a few minutes of relaxation. So, tamasic. Then there is rajasic relaxation. Okay, some sports or dancing or music. Okay, traveling, that relaxes you because it takes you away from your disturbances. Then it relaxes you. Then there is sattvic relaxation. Somebody listening to bhajan or uh, some some sort of chanting, some divine music, instruments. Okay, being with nature. So all this sattvic relaxation. Now Janaka Maharaja, because he's such a lucky person, he's always in the company of sages and saints. He's relaxed. His relaxation is sattvic. Okay, although he's a king, his primordial nature is sattva guna. Okay, and he's relaxed, and in that relaxation, he now listens to the Sidda Gita. Sidda Gita starts with the Siddhas are talking. Okay, one of the Siddhas, and who are the Siddhas? What is a Siddha? Siddha is the a gnani, an enlightened sage. Okay, Siddha means Siddhi, somebody who has had Siddhi. Siddhi means some fulfillment. Okay, he has attained fulfillment. Typically, the word Siddha is used a Siddha Purusha and Avatara Purusha in the contrast of Siddha and Avatara. Siddha Purusha is one, he or she, who was born Agnana, in Agnana. Okay, he or she had Agnana, then this person received Gnana and got established in Gnana. You understand? That is Siddha Purusha. That means he started from the bottom and he rose to the top. Whereas Avatar Purusha, Avatar Purusha is a born Gnani. From birth, this person is a Gnani. So, the example of Avatar Purusha is Bhagavan Dattatreya. Siddha Purusha is all those people who were born ordinary, like any other person, had the questions, had the doubts, then met a master, got Atmanana, and got established in the self. Okay, that is the Siddha. The difference, why this is told as Sidda Gita is, these beings who are having this discussion were all coming from that journey. Okay, and they are now having the discussion. So what are they saying? They start, the first statement they say, collectively they're all in sync when they say this first statement. The first statement they start with are salutations to the gurus, the great gurus of all ages. Okay, the Siddhas start with the statement, our salutations to the gurus of all ages. They show gratitude. They're there where they are because of the gnana that they receive from their masters. Okay, so they say to all, not only my master, to the master of all ages, we bow down to the Guru Parampara. We bow down to the Guru Parampara that has been keeping this Gnana Ganga flowing, so that many people like us and in the future people can attain Atmana. Then one of the Siddhas, he says, we bow down to the Supreme Self, which is creating the world, which is sustaining the world, and which is absorbing the world. So, first reference is made to the master, the gurus, Guru Parampara, Guru Tattva. Then that same Guru Tattva is addressed as the self which creates, sustains, and absorbs all that is seen. And he says, we also bow down to the same self, which is the knower, knowledge, and know, which is the seer, seen, and the sight, which is the doer, which is the cause of deed, and the deed itself. So everything, when they say these things, it becomes evident that the language is not of duality. Okay, the language has changed, and that is what attracts Janaka Maharaja. This is the beginning of the conversation, and he overhears this language where they're saying the self of all, the knower is the self, the known is the self, the knowing is the self, the seer is the self, the seen is the self, and the sight itself is the self. The doer is the self, the one who does is the self, the deed is the self, and the cause also is the self. There is nothing apart from the self. So everything is the self. And we bow down to that self, which is everything. They salute to the non-dual self. They recognize the self in everything that is perceived. The one who's doing is the self, the knower is the self. Otherwise, in the spiritual teaching, the concept of Tripura is always brought in. Triputi. There's a Triputi, which is a bondage. The seer, seen, and process of seeing. Here they're not talking about the journey of Triputi. Here they're talking about there is no Triputi. Because what is Triputi? Whatever is a three, the seer is the self, the seen is the self, and the seeing is the self. When seer, seen, and seeing is the self, where is the Triputi? Where is the three? There's only one. So that one self we bow down to. Now, another Siddha tells something of great importance that makes Janaka Maharaj's interest deeper. Till now he was listening. Now this, on what he hears, his ears become very sharp. He gets up. Okay? The Siddha says, we bow down to the supreme bliss. Okay? Which is, and he gives a comparison. How much is this bliss? So there's bliss in the world. He says there's bliss in the world, right? There's some bliss that people find. Some joy, happiness that people find. And that people hanker for. And there is one world. There is a waking world, there is some bliss. In the dream world, there is some bliss. In the deep sleep, there is some bliss. Then there are 14 lokas. Okay? He says, all the bliss of all the 14 lokas, if you put together, it is nothing but a drop of the bliss of the self. Okay, the bliss, that means whatever bliss is possible of anything any experience in all these lokas is compared to a drop of the bliss of the self. Then Janaka Maharaj is, wow, there's something like that. His first time understanding, oh, I thought this was the bliss. There is something like that. So the entire search is for this bliss. And the bliss is never found in the world. So there's a story of what is the state of the human beings searching for happiness in the world. There was once a prince traveling through the desert. He was in a palanquin, and his servants are carrying him through the desert. Okay, he's going from one place to another place. There, he finds a man. He sees a man who is searching in the desert, in the sand. He keeps on searching, and they've been traveling for days, and they see this person still searching. Every day, he's searching something. Then the prince calls his servant and asks him, "What are you doing?" I said, "What is he doing?" The servants say he's scavenging. If he finds something, he sells it and he makes some money. Okay, what does he find? A piece of cloth or some shoe, whatever he finds that people have dropped accidentally on their way. He takes that and he's like a rag picker. He's a rag picker in the desert. The prince feels hurt. Out of his compassion, he has a ring. He throws that. He doesn't call him and he just throws it in the sand, and they go. Then after many weeks, they come back through the same pathway. Okay, they have to go back in the same route. When they come, they find this man. Now the prince is hoping that he'll not find the man, because that one ring is enough for his 3 generations. Okay, that's a very precious gold and jewel, right? He thinks, okay, I'll not see the man again. But he sees the same man. Okay, he is there digging. And this time, his enthusiasm is great. Then he calls him. He asks him, what is this? Why are you still digging? The man says, "Oh, Maharaj, the other day, a few weeks ago, I found a gold ring, a precious jewel in the desert. Now, in this desert, if there's a precious jewel, imagine what else might be there." Okay, and that's why I continue to scavenge, rag pick in the desert. So this rag picking is the desert is what most of us are doing. The Maya is like the desert where we're trying to find happiness. Okay, but there's nothing there. There's absolutely no happiness can be found in the Maya. But then you say, "Oh no, that's not true, because I found happiness when I got my job. I found happy. When I got married, I got happy. When I got divorced, I got happy. When I drink coffee, I got happy. When I had breakfast, got happy. When I went to the party, I got happy." All that you think that you got from the world, you actually got from the self. So there's a great master called Sri Atmananda Krishna Menon. Okay, Atmananda Krishna Menon explains. He gives a example of how this happiness you get from the world, that you think you get from the world. He gives an example of music. Okay, he tells, okay, let's say somebody is listening to music. So you listen to music and you feel happy. Does music bring happiness? Listening to music? Okay, people to listen to music, they feel lost, they feel happy, then they come back. Then he explains, he breaks down the process, what happens. So music is an expression. It's some expression, somebody's expression. That expression is like the waves. Think of it like the waves in the ocean. It's a surface level. That expression is the means. It's a starting point. That expression led you to that which cannot be expressed, which is the self. Okay, it's like the going deeper into the ocean. From the surface of the water, which is full of waves, movement, you go down. Okay, you go down, and then there's a tranquility. There's an abyss of the ocean where there's no waves, where there's no light, where there's just darkness and silence. Okay, So just how from the waves you go deeper to a place of no waves, no light, tranquility and silence. From the sound you went into, from the expression you went into that which is beyond expression. And in the beyond expression, there is no longer the object of enjoyment. Okay, there's no more music there. Music is the object of enjoyment. In the self, there's no more object of enjoyment, neither is there enjoyer. Enjoyer is the I. Object and enjoyment is the music or ice cream or coffee or experience or travel or something, some object of enjoyment. In the real enjoyment, wherever you really enjoy, there's no object of enjoyment. You understand it? When the real enjoyment happened in you, whereas when you touched yourself, deep inner self, there was no object of enjoyment, neither the enjoyer. That's why there was enjoyment. Okay, that's why there was happiness. You became happy in the absence of the object of happiness, and the person who can get happy is when the real happiness was. That you touched, and then you came out of that. Okay, just like the person comes out from the deep of the ocean back to the surface. Then when he comes back to the surface, he's forgotten about he has no knowledge about the depths. He only knows the object. So then he associates the happiness and the enjoyment to the object of enjoyment and the enjoyer, not the true enjoyment which he got in the absence of both. So the bliss is always of the self, and the bliss is what everybody seeks. Ultimately, what you seek is bliss. All spiritual journey is for bliss. Okay? All the journey of life is only for bliss. And this bliss is called Ananda. And the Ananda is infinite. It comes from Ananta. Ananda is only in Ananta, not in the Kshanika. So no object, and everything in the world is temporary. So nothing in the world can give you happiness simply because it is temporary. Okay? But any happiness that you get at any point of time is your own nature that you experience. Without understanding that it's your own nature that is revealing to you. Okay? And the Atmagnana, through the process of Atmagnana and Vedanta, you go back to this ocean of bliss that these masters and scriptures are referring to. And how big is the ocean? To give an example of how big is the ocean, he tells the bliss or happiness that so-called bliss and happiness that everybody experiences in all the 14 lokas put together is nothing but trickles of the bliss of the self. And on hearing this, now Janaka Maharaja is attentive. Now they're talking of value. This is of value to me, great value to me. Okay? Now his eyes and ears, all senses are completely optimized. He's ready to listen more. Then the other Siddha goes. So the one Siddha spoke about the non-dual self. Then the other Siddha spoke about the bliss of the self. Now there's another Siddha who comes and tells there is a way to realize the self. Okay? Somebody has spoken about the lottery. Okay, what the offering of the lottery is. $1 billion or 100 billion. Then next person is coming telling where to buy the ticket, where to get the ticket for that. So it's not just, okay, it's there. It is that it is there and you can get it. And there's a way you can get it. Now the next person is coming and telling, because if it's just there, it's just, oh, it's inaccessible. No, it's not inaccessible. It is very accessible. And how you can access it? How is it accessible? He said the first requirement to access it is you should have focus on it. That should be your focus. Okay, that should be where your mind should move. And when the mind is moving in that direction, you need to apply discrimination. Okay, you need to learn the discrimination from the Guru to discriminate that which is self, Atma, and Anatma. So discriminate between what is Atma, what is Anatma, and when you become free from that which is Anatma, you get established in the self. That Atma Anatma Vichara, Atma Anatma Viveka is what leads to the bliss. Now, I'll give you a very day-to-day example of how that is so. The mind, typically the mind is looking only for happiness, right? Any movement of the mind is for happiness. Is to go away from suffering and go towards happiness. And the mind gets possessed by this. Okay, and it creates thought patterns. And when the mind is intensely moving in some direction, it gets lost. It doesn't know the starting point. You don't know how you got there. Like in a dream, you start with a dream and you don't really question how you got there. You just continue with the flow. Okay, whatever thought starts arising, you just take that. Okay, you start you're in the dream, you're in Paris. You don't question, where was I yesterday? Where was I day before yesterday? Wherever you put, you continue. Because there's a inner compass. What is that compass? There's a desire. The desire of what you have to get next hides your starting point. Why did you come here in the first place? Right? That veil of the starting point, which is your desire for bliss, confuses the means with the end. The end is the bliss. The means to get the bliss becomes more important than the end. So mind is always focused on the means. Meaning, if you look at all your desires, oh, I have to get promotion. Why you have to get promotion? So that I can get more money. Why you have to get more money? Because I can buy so many more things. I can buy another house. Why you have to buy another house? So that I can be happy. So instead of asking happiness directly, you go like this, roundabout. So what is bliss? So Atma and Atma Vika is, in your day-to-day, you discriminate your motives and intentions. They're rooted in Agnana, Anatma, and focused on the means. The end that you want is bliss, which is your nature. Okay? So in the Vichara, you go back to Atma. I am the self. I am of the nature of bliss. Then realizing your nature of bliss, out of that bliss, the action pours. Okay? Otherwise, all the actions are for the bliss. So the Siddha is saying, discriminate between Atma and Anatma and get established in Atma. Only when you're established in Atma, when will you experience the bliss. And what bliss it is, what is the kind of bliss? He says, you experience it as the blood in your veins, as your whole skin, like how you have an experience of your skin, right? And the blood rushing through in the body. The bliss you'll experience like that. The bliss of the Gnani is it overflows his being. Okay? Now the bliss is of the being. From the being, which is blissful, the being projects, or there's an appearance of a mental being. So from pure being, in the pure being, which is of bliss, there is a mental being which is projected. And the mental being, then there is a gross being, which is a physical body. So pure being, mental being, and the physical being. The physical being and the mental being put together is the human part of the being. And the being is Atma. So he's telling, discriminate between the mental being and the physical being and the pure being, which you are. So out of these three, what are you? Are you the physical being? Are you the mental being? Or are you the pure being? The pure being is Atma, which has no birth and no death. The mental being and the physical being are appearances in the pure being. So in the dream, in the pure being, so think of pure being as the deep sleep. In the deep sleep, it's like the pure being. There is no mental and physical being in the pure being, in the deep sleep. In the dream state, there is a physical being and mental being. Okay? In the waking state, there's a physical being and the mental being. Both of them are dream beings, which are happening in the pure being, which is Atma. You are that pure being, beyond the physical and the mental, through the physical and the mental. Even when the physical and the mental exist, you are still the pure being. The physical and the mental are the images on the screen, but you are the screen, which is the pure being. So the Siddha says, realize that you are the pure being, the inner being, Atma, and discriminate between you and not you. What is not you? Physical being and mental being is not you. That means you are not the body and you are not the thought. Okay? You are not the body and you are not the thought. Not the body, not the thought, you have to discriminate and become aware of that, hey, I am not the body, I am not the thought, I am not the mind. I am the pure being. And that pure being is Atma. And when you realize this, and when you be the pure being, you experience the bliss, which is infinite. Now he goes on to explain about the pure being. What is this pure being? He says this pure being is the light of the self. It is that which illuminates all objects in the world. And it is the same consciousness in the believer and the non-believer. Okay? So why does he say there's one consciousness, same in the believer and the non-believer? Consciousness is beyond belief. This is not a game of belief All beliefs are for the mind. Consciousness is beyond belief. Atma Gnana is not asking you to believe that you are Atma. Okay? Whether you believe, whether you don't believe, you are Atma. Okay? Whereas in the world, belief is a tool, it's required. What you believe is how your life is. That is the message and teaching with the interaction in the transactional world. But in reality, when the question is about what is reality, reality is beyond belief. Okay, I am not Atma because I believe so. That's why no scripture, no master asks you to believe that you're Atma. So the teaching, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect, I am Atma, or the statements of the Upanishad, Pragnanam Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi, are not beliefs. Please understand, these are not higher belief systems. These are absolute truths. So there's a difference between truth and belief. Belief is a mental game. Truth is beyond the mind. Truth is what you are. Belief is what you use. So the Siddha says the consciousness is the same in the believer and the non-believer. The state of the mind has no relation to what you are as Atma. Okay, you are the self, whether you believe it or not. Because when the mind itself, when the believing entity, when the belief instrument, which is the mind, itself doesn't exist in deep sleep, it is self-evident to you that you are the Atma, self. So you are Atma, but it has nothing to do with belief. So Atma Gnana is not a belief system. Okay, Vedanta is not a belief system. It is how do I go beyond the belief system? That is the Atma Gnana. How do I use belief system? Is the path of, is the other pathway, Aparavidya. Paravidya is dropping all beliefs and going beyond all beliefs. You understand that, you understand the limitations of belief. So you drop all beliefs, transcend belief, and get established in the self, which is beyond belief. Any doubt in belief? So we bow down to the self, which is formless and which is the I of the I. So there's an I, feeling of I. It is the I of the I. It is the pure consciousness, which transcends the ego, yet it compromises all the ego. So what is the self? The self is beyond the ego, yet it is the ego in all. All the egos put together. Where is the ego? The ego is nothing but the self. Where is that I coming from? It is coming from the pure I. So if you see, if you observe in the language of the Siddhas, whatever they're touching, whatever concept they're touching, they're converting into self, including ego. So when they talk about ego, when they talk about Tripura, they say, seer, seen is self. Doer, karma, okay, the one who does is self, when you experience the result is self. Cause and effect is the self. Oh, ego, what about ego? Ego has to be killed to know the self. Ego has to be destroyed to know the self. Why? Ego is the self. Whatever they touch, they convert it to. Not that they convert into self, they point out the self in that. They point out the self in ego. Okay? Whereas the mind does the complete opposite. The mind, whatever is given to the mind, if God is given to the mind, the mind converts it into a thought. The mind pulls down the holiest of the holiest things and makes it into an object. The Gnani takes the most unholy thing and makes it into the pure subject. Okay, that's they're light years apart. Okay, you give anything to the gnani, the light, the sound, the maya, even maya is the self, the snake and the rope. Okay, the ego is also self. When you inquire into anything, any object, you trace back the object to the self. That is Atmanana. Okay? Whatever you start with, whatever starting point, you can, and the starting point doesn't matter. Okay? Whatever you start with, you trace it back to, can be traced back to the self, because the self is the Adhara for everything. Is the Aadhaar card. Is the main Aadhaar card for everything. Whatever, you take anything in the world, anything perceived, anything that can be perceived, can be traced back to that which is beyond perception. From form, you can go to formless. But the link is gnana. Link is vichara. Through inquiry. Okay, Shisharji, you had a question?
Guruji, here the ego is also seen as self. Is it? I was trying to understand the reason. Is it because the existence, Sat is there? Is it how it is interpreted?
No, ego, when they say ego, they're talking about I thought. Where is the I thought coming from? What is the I thought? That I, the feeling of the real I, belongs to consciousness. There's only one I, which is consciousness. So that one I is the I of all the I's. Okay, so you say I say I, she says I. All of us are referring to that one I. That is consciousness. That is what they're saying. So when they say all I's are that I, all egos I thought, are nothing but coming from the self. Where else will the I thought come from? Can the I thought come from no I? There should be some real I, like this, no? There's a mirror. There's a mirror, right? For your reflection to come in the mirror, you should stand in front of the mirror. Just because there's a mirror, if there's no object to be reflected, there's nothing in the mirror. But when you stand in front of the mirror, there's a reflection. That is the real you. And there is a reflected you. That reflected you is called ego. The real you who is being reflected is the I. Now, in the case of Brahman, in the case of consciousness, it's like the house of mirrors. You know the house of mirrors? There's go into the one room, there's a room filled with thousands of mirrors, reflecting surfaces. Then millions of you appear. All those millions of you is nothing but one person reflecting it. There's a movie called Enter the Dragon. Have you watched? Bruce Lee's. So there's a movie, I can't give any pop culture references. All of you are old people. So there's a movie called Enter the Dragon. In the Enter the Dragon, in the last part of the movie, Bruce Lee is fighting the enemy. In that the enemy goes into the house of mirrors. Okay? Then there's so many enemies projected. And the enemy comes and attacks the hero. And the hero is not able to, whoever he punches is punching the mirror. Then what he does intelligently to catch the enemy, he breaks all the mirrors. Then no more reflection is possible. Then he finds the enemy and he kills him. So all the eyes are nothing but reflected eyes. The real eye is only one. The reflection is a I thought. So when here he says ego, he's referring to the I thought. Like the reflection in the mirror. Is it clear? Ego, whenever the ego is inquired, okay, how is the ego inquired? Who am I? Right? The who am I, whoever does the who am I, the People don't find different answers. Because there's no different answer. There's only one answer, which is no answer, which is the self. Okay? So the self-inquiry is inquiring into who is this I? To find out the I of the I. And that I of the I of all the I's, is the self, pure self. And those who ignore, the Siddha says next, and those who ignore this self, who is the Lord, and who go in search of other gods, other deities, what practically they are doing is they have a chintamani. The example he gives is you're holding a celestial gem, chintamani, in your hand. Chintamani is whatever you think, it will give you. Chintamani, celestial gem. It's like you're holding a celestial gem in your hand, you're keeping it aside and digging in the sand. Okay? The Siddha says, instead of focusing on this Chintamani, the Lord in your heart, which fulfills all your desires, instead of doing that, which is there in your hand, which is the process of vichara, you keep it aside and you're digging in the ground, trying to find some other jewels. That is the plight of the beings, he says. Then he says, and those people who do that, who go on digging, the only way they can come out of that is they need to, whatever they're trying to find, or whatever they do find in that process of digging, which is running after desires, they have to understand the worthlessness in that. Okay? That understanding comes after law, bahunam janmanam ante, after various experiences. Okay? Look, and if the person is intelligent, he or she learns from the experiences of other people. So the wise keep on saying, don't go inside, find the treasure inside. Don't run behind desires in life, because it comes from, the words are coming from a maturity. They've understood the nature of life. So there is a sage who is sitting under a tree in the forest. There's a man who is searching, who is a laborer. He's looking for food for his family. And there's a heavy rain, and he's not found any food. He comes near the tree where the sage is. Then looking at this man, the sage feels compassionate, and he tells, you go and dig there, you'll get something. So this man goes and digs there. He finds some silver. Then he goes and sells it, and he makes money. Later he comes back to the saint, he bows down, he brings fruits and clothes and everything as gratitude. Then he asks, can you tell me something more? Then the sage tells, you go and dig there, you'll find something. He goes and digs there, he finds gold. Then he becomes more rich. Then he comes back. Now he comes with many, many people. Okay. He bows down. He offers so many things. They do satsang, puja, everything. Then when everybody leaves, he again secretly asks, any other secret place? Then the sage says, go dig there. He goes, digs there. He finds precious rubies. Okay. Diamonds and rubies. Now he gets a doubt. This sage, he's studying all these places. That means he himself is sitting on something which is most precious in all of this. So he waits behind the tree when the sage goes away to take a bath, and he goes and digs there. Then nothing is there. Then the sage comes back and he asks, I thought you had something of more value where you're sitting. And the sage says, Yes, I have something of more value, but I'm not sitting on it. It is in me. Okay, my own inner self. I have realized self. So if you want the more precious, I I can teach you. Then the man becomes his disciple and gets Atmanana from the sage. So until you understand, until you want the desire for the most precious, which is Bhagwan. It is also told very beautifully in the story of Arjuna and Krishna. Before the war, Duryodhana and Arjuna go to Krishna because they want Krishna on their side. In the Krishna on their side, and Krishna has not taken a side yet. You heard the story? So Duryodhana goes and sits at the feet. Then he realizes I'm sitting at the feet of Krishna. He gets up and he goes and sits at the head of Krishna. Arjuna sits at the feet of Krishna. When Krishna opens his eyes, he sees Arjuna first. And he asks Arjuna, what do you want? Then Duryodhana says, I came first. So you should ask what I want. Then Krishna tells, what do you want? He tells, I want you. Arjuna, what do you want? I want you. Okay, but I can't be in two places. He makes an offer. You can have me or my Senya. There's Balarama, his brother, commands a big Senya, army. So you can have anyone, one me or my army. Duryodhana tells, what will I do with you? And that too, you have told, you have taken a vow that you will not fight. So one non-combat, one who doesn't engage in combat, Krishna, versus an army ready for combat. Obviously, I'll take the army. Arjuna tells, I want you. I don't care about the army. I just want you on my side. So until you come to the maturity that I want the self, okay, so the Lord offered two things. You either take something from me or take me. Okay, most of the time, what you encash is what Lord has to offer. Okay, which is a senya. But when the day comes when you want the Lord, not his army anymore. Okay, you want the self. That day, and that day doesn't come arbitrarily. It comes after a lot of inner maturity. Because it's not about consciously asking for the Lord. Okay, conscious mind, after listening to the story, you will tell, I want Krishna. But subconsciously, you want so many things from him. Okay, that deep subconscious doesn't transform until you mature in life. Okay, after many, many lifetimes, there's the inner maturing, the deep subconscious. It's not a conscious craving for the Lord. It's not a conscious craving for the self. Because everybody has conscious craving for the Lord. But subconsciously, their craving is something else. The deep inner craving has to come. And when the inner craving comes, is when the master appears. Okay? The one who has the inner craving for the Lord, for such a person, the master has an inner craving. The gurus have an inner craving for such people who have an inner craving for the Lord. And that's how the meeting happens. Okay, that's how people meet. Otherwise, many people meet gurus, but they don't get the benefit. Like many people met Krishna. Everybody were around Krishna, but not everybody got the Bhagavad Gita. Not everybody understood. Okay, because of the inner craving. So when the of the grace of the Divine Mother, when you are matured to such a stage where deep inside, subconsciously, unconsciously, you seek the Lord, you cry for the Lord, then the realization happens. No. Then he gives, even knowing after all of this, if the person still goes after enjoyment, that person he compares to an ass, okay, like a donkey. Why a donkey? Because the male donkey keeps on going after the female donkey, behind the female donkey, and the female donkey keeps kicking it, but still he persists. So the man or the person keeps getting hurt by all pursuits in life for joy. Whatever you try to catch is like sugar mixed with sand. Okay, whatever you desire, the moment it gets fulfilled, it becomes pain. You want a job, the moment it gets fulfilled, that same job becomes a pain. Whatever brings you happiness, you want to get you want to be happy, you get married, that same marriage brings pain. Whatever you go after in the world is like sugar mixed with sand. Has anybody got pure sugar? Whatever you go after, it's the pain is just lurking around the corner. It's just waiting to come back. Okay, whatever you eat, the joyful food that you eat becomes disease. Okay, whatever you go after, the joys, the happiness, enjoyments, eventually becomes pain. That is the nature of the world. So the man who even getting kicked again goes back to the same thing. Siddha compares him to a donkey. There is no hope for such a donkey. So he says, these vasanas are they are like serpents. They are in your unconscious. You don't know about them. You don't know what is happening in your deep unconscious. They only when they raise their hood, only when they sprout out and come to the conscious mind, you become aware of them. Until then, you don't know what is happening in your subconscious. Okay, you don't know about your desires. You don't know about what you carry inside, what vasanas you carry. You have to inquire, go deeper, become aware of what is hidden and uproot it. Okay, so that they don't raise their hood again. And then you have to be merciless. He says you have to be ruthless with vasanas. You have to destroy them and become free from them. Just a moment. So you acquire the self by reining the senses and stilling the mind. And he concludes by saying, he gives the process of sadhana, which is eliminating the disturbing vasanas. So first he brings the awareness. He brings the awareness that you don't know what is operating in you. You only know when they come out. You don't know what program is there. You only know when the program gets executed, and you have no control. Okay, people have no control of what program gets executed, what desire comes, what emotion comes, what thought comes. We don't know. Okay, you are like a slave to this force, this vasanas. So sadhana is about chitta vritti nirodha. Chitta is this place where these programs are operating. Going in there, facing them and uprooting them with awareness and gnana, and stilling the mind with gnana, with the help of the master's teaching, resolve the questions and still the mind. And when in the still mind, in the tranquil mind, in the relaxed mind, listen to the teaching that of who I am, and realize that the self is within. At this stage, when the teaching is given, go within, the mind does not resist or contradict, saying, no, my desire somewhere outside. All that has already been done. Okay, the person has come to a maturity that, okay, all of my outer journey, all of my search, all of my efforts have not brought fulfillment. Now, when the teaching is given, the teaching is absorbed and the mind becomes still and established in Atmagnana. And staying established in Atmagnana uproots whatever pending vasanas are there. Okay, whatever is pending vasanas is uprooted, and that is what is called burning of the karmas. So first there is a karma agni or kama agni. Okay, the kama agni is the fuel first for the jiva. Kama agni, desire after desire. It's a fire. And how to keep the fire alive? So when we do the homa, you have to keep on pouring ghee to keep the fire alive. Otherwise, the fire gets, if you just leave it, it will get extinguished. So kama agni, you constantly go on hankering and going after desires. That's like putting ghee to the kama agni. So you need to stop putting ghee to the kama agni first. Okay? Then you need to ignite the gnana agni and put ghee to the gnana agni. How do you put ghee? What is putting ghee to the gnana agni? Putting ghee to the gnana agni is shravana. Shravana, manana, nidhyasa. This is constant putting ghee. Then once the kama agni is, all the desires are burned, when there's nothing more to burn, that gnana agni also cannot be, it goes, it becomes silenced. Then you're established in the self. There's no gnana, there's no agnana. You go beyond everything. Okay, so gnana agni, go on pouring ghee is like not endless process. Oh, endlessly I have to keep listening to teaching. My whole life I have to keep listening to teaching. No. As long as there is material to burn, the ignorance. Once the ignorance is burnt, then the flame of the agni, gnana agni also cannot last. It will dissolve. What remains is pure awareness. Until then, go on shravana, manana, nidhyasa. So saying this, the Sidda concludes the process of how somebody, he talks about desire, he talks about becoming free from desire, and he talks about the nature of the self. On listening to this, Janaka Maharaja, so Janaka Maharaja is already in that state where his mind is in Sattva-guna. He is no longer controlled by desires. This conversation has purified him, has uplifted him, and listening to this discussion of Siddhas, he becomes Atmagnana, and his mind becomes still, and he gets established in the self. And what kind of gnani? He becomes a Uttama gnani. So Tripura always spoke about three types of gnanis: Adama, Madhyama, Uttama. He becomes a Uttama gnani. Okay? Fully established in the self. He becomes a Jivan Mukta. So the Uttama gnani and the Madhyama gnani are Jivan Muktas. They can be wherever they are undisturbed by the world. The Adama gnani has gnana, but he or she can seem to get affected from the world, but they go back into the self at various intervals, and at the time of death, they attain parinirvana. Now, what is the Phalashruti of the Tripura Rahasya? Tripura Rahasya guarantees that those who listen to the auspicious Tripura Rahasya, for them, the Adama Gnana is guaranteed. They are the first category. That is guaranteed. Okay? Liberation at the time of death is guaranteed. The Jivan Mukti is deeper understanding of Tripura Rahasya and Shravana Manana Nidhyasa. Okay, but the base is, the starting point is guaranteed. You attain liberation at the time of death. And those who, and that too, they talk about, like how they talk about Uttama Gnana, Madhyama Gnana, and Adama Gnana. Depending on the intensity one has, the way they are associated with Tripura Rahasya, the phala is different. But the basic is everybody gets mukti, okay, at the time of death. Then somebody, depending on the amount of devotion that they have, or maybe the master that they have, they get Jivan Mukti, depending on the prarabdha and the previous momentum. So Tripura Rahasya, it's actually, earlier I told you, it's a very big text. There are 3 kandas, there are 3 sections. Most of it is lost. What we have taken up is the Gnana Kanda. The Gnana Kanda of the Tripura Rahasya we have completed. So I am very fortunate to have received people who will listen to Tripura Rahasya. So I bow down to everybody who has been a part of this, and for the Divine Mother for revealing and helping us contemplate on the truths of Tripura Rahasya and completing this Gnana Yagna. May all who have participated in this Gnana Yagna attain Mukti and Bhukti. May you lead a life of happiness, joy, dharma, and perform yagna, dana, and tapas. May your life be for Atmano Mokshartham and Jagat Hitaya cha. May the divine shine in your life, and may you become the light of love, compassion, and wisdom on earth. Loka samasta Sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta Sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta Sukhino bhavantu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. It is by the grace and will of Tripura Devi that all this happens. She is the desire, she is the speaker, she is the listener, she is the subject. So I offer this Gnana Yagna to the holy feet of my Guru, Sadguru Narasimha Prabhu, and the Divine Mother Adi Parashakti. So thank you all again for being a part of the Tripura Rahasya Hope it was insightful, blissful, and purifying.
Thank you so much, Guruji. Thank you so much. Really indebted to you for this kind teachings and helping us navigate and learn, understand, realize. So thank you, thank you, thank you so much.
It's a rare opportunity, okay? I don't know. Hardly you can count the number of people who get the opportunity, especially in the modern world, to hear these things is very rare. And when I say rare, for it to happen, right? It's a cosmic event, because in an ancient text, for it to be repeated thousands of years later, it is a intention of the totality. Lot of things have to come together for this to happen. Okay, and it is a so typically it's said whenever Rishi Yagna happens, the beings from all multiple lokas come and attend it. Okay, because anywhere there is gnana that is given is very rare to find, especially in the world where every day you are always taken back to your identities, the untruth. When your senses are bombarded with objects and the false notions of reality, these yagna, that's why it's called yagna. This yagna, it purifies you deep within. Okay, at a conscious level, at a subconscious level, it heals the body, it uproots the belief mainly, which also then brings transformation in your outer life also. That's why I told bhukti and mukti. They are correlated, because if one is affected, the other is affected. Okay, they're interdependent. Because Shiva and Shakti are the same. The bhukti is what you experience in the world, is nothing but what you carry on the inside. Now the Rishi Yagna, the Gnana Yagna, directly operates on the inside. And when you become peaceful and tranquil, and the mind becomes still on the inside, obviously the outer will change. Obviously the outer will transform. Through you. Okay, you become the light.
Indeed, Guruji, because can you hear me?
Yeah.
I think the mic is not very powerful, probably this one. So yes, indeed, because probably when we started, at least I was not aware there is a text called Tripura Rahasya.
Yeah.
And even if, like, if there is a book,
Yeah.
and where do we, who can, teach such a book in this whole world?
I was also not aware. And the Divine Mother brought the awareness. And it's a twofold work. When one teaches, two learn. You heard the saying? When one teaches, two learn. So in the process of talking about Tripura, I myself was a student of it as well. So it's all great fortune for me and for everybody who heard this. I hope the Divine Mother blesses me with more energy, and students and teachers. There will be hopefully more teachers in the world to communicate these truths. That is always what the world needs. More doctors, more gurus, right? There is enough patience.
You are truly our mother, Guruji. very patiently teaching us all these things that we don't know. We are so ignorant. And like a child, yes, always looking up and always
Whatever I am, I learned from my guru,
yes.
who is
It's
my
always a guru parampara going on. So, and
yeah.
as you say, books can't teach you. It has to come from you, some living, it's so nice and to feel. Now, after you, if I read, maybe it sinks in better, but without your or a guru's input, and that too, I have even seen, if you see a video and things like that, there are so many, but still that live interaction makes it more personal and more something more.
Yeah, that's how it
I'm
always.
really blessed to whatever grace wants the forces wants us to be here together. Really thankful to every energy that's making it happen.
Okay, shall we close for the day? So I'll think through on what to take up next. We'll decide and we'll communicate.
Yes, Guruji. Now I think without our weekly, and we'll definitely look forward to this time and not spending any time on satsang will be very difficult for us. So now definitely please we'll be waiting for your announcement next. And I personally, living in Bangalore, I actually want to come and visit you in the house and listen to this. Somehow every time it is not happening, but I am still hoping that it will start soon, and I want to shift from online to offline permanently. Hope
Yeah, the answer is
that
written on your t-shirt, all in good times.
yes. Yes, yes, Guruji. So hopefully the good times arrive soon.
Okay, we'll close for the day.
Look, ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ.
Tvameva mata, pita tvameva, tvameva bandhuscha, sakha tvameva, tvameva vidya, dravinam tvameva, tvameva sarvam, mama deva deva, kayena vacha, manasendriyaiva, buddhyatmana va, prakrite swabhava, karomi yadyad sakalam parasmai narayanaeti samarpayami samarpayami loka samasta sukhino bhavantu loka samasta sukhino bhavantu harihi om shri gurubhyo namaha harihi om. My pranams to all. Hari Om. So
Hari
you
Om Guru.
blessings from Mata Amritan.
Wonderful painting. Hari Om Guruji. See you soon.
Hari Om Guru.
Yeah, Murat.
Hari Om.
Thank you.